Good evening, sir, ma'am, and all the participants who have joined today's session. Today, we are going to have Sanskriti Srinivasan with us, who has recently got recommended for FCAT entry from 5 AFSB Guwahati in her 11th attempt. As I said, 11th attempt, so of course, her journey was not an easy one. Rather, it was an arduous one. To know more about her journey of joining the forces and of achieving her goals, let us invite Sanskriti herself. Ma'am, I welcome you on the behalf of No Frills Academy.
Thank you.
Very congratulations on your recommendation, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Starting today's session, ma'am, we would like you to answer certain questions. We would like to know about your family background, your birthplace, your education, and what motivated you to join the forces.
Okay, so I come from a completely civilian background. So my grandfather served in the Air Force. He retired as honorary flying officer. So I have a couple of uncles who are also serving right now. Apart from that, my immediate family as such, there is no one. We are completely civilian. And I was born and brought up in Chennai, but now I live in Mumbai. I'm working here. I did my studies completely from here and I'm working also here right now. Also, I did my master's in English. So I did MA honors in English. So, yep, that's me.
As I myself mentioned that it was your 11th attempt where you got recommended for the FCAT entry. Ma'am, we would like to know about your previous attempts and their results.
Okay, so this has been a very long journey. So it took me 3 years to get here. So I started my first AFSB back in 2022. So my first attempt was in Mysore, right? So a couple of screen outs, then a couple of conference out, then again a screen out. I think then there were 3 conferences, then I got screened out in between. Then there was one more conference, and then I got recommended. So a total of 5 screen outs and 7 conferences. So I got recommended in my 7th conference. So basically, I've been to all the army boards. Now almost this is the second cycle of army boards I've been to already. Once I've already been, now second cycle has started. Air Force, barring Varanasi and Dehradun, I've been to all the other boards. So yep, varied results everywhere, but yeah, made it at my 11th attempt.
Of course, ma'am, it was a very long journey and an inspiring one as well. Ma'am, we would like to know what changes did you make in this particular recommendation attempt that brings you the recommendation?
The changes as such is what I would say is that this time I was just myself. I did not try to be anyone else to get recommended. I did not care about the results. What I had in mind this time was just to execute the tasks as it is given and as perfectly as possible without any mistakes. So my focus was completely on the task rather than other external factors, as in like, what kind of group I'm going to get or whether I'm going to be able to perform or difficulty of the task. Nothing was in my mind. I was very clear with the kind of mindset I went in. Like, okay, just focus on the task, complete it as good as perfectly as you can, and we'll see whatever happens. So there was a different change in mindset definitely this time.
Of course, ma'am, that is the change that brought you the recommendation. So, ma'am, tell us about your stage 1, then going to stage 2, one by one, starting with the screening process, then psychology test, personal interview, and the GTO task.
Okay, so stage 1, there were around 64. So the thing is, I got recommended in February, so I do not exactly remember when my interview was or the number of people. So there might be a slight discrepancy, but how much ever I remember, I'll tell you. So there were 64 people who reported in Guwahati that day. It was on 10th Feb. And then around 31 of us got screened in. So, right. So, screening process was fair enough. I mean, OIR was easy. It was no breaker. I had practiced a little bit of OIR before I had gone. That's my usual routine where I practice around a week before I practice my OIR. Not too much of practice, just to get into that cycle of, okay, this is how the questions are going to be and all that. So, once that was an OIR pretty easy, I was able to finish it well within time. Then came the story. The story was a very different story this time I encountered. It was just a man who was sleeping or taking a nap. So there was nothing, usually there's, action oriented. There was nothing happening in the picture. The person was just sleeping. So in that sense, it was a very different kind of story I had encountered for the first time. But anyway, I was able to make a very logical story. I did not make anything, what do I say, imaginary or very very like अच्छा the action डालो पूरा उसमें कुछ नहीं something I wrote very relatable, something relatable to the story with a proper past present future course of action, a very good 8 to 10 line story. And then my narration was also good. I had practiced my narration a little bit before I had gone, so narration also well within time, around 45 seconds to 1 minute. And group discussion was fine as usual. It was the fish market, there is no escaping that. I mean, in my 11th attempt I realized you have to cope up with it. There is nothing you can do and complain about it. But I think the key to tackling the fish market is basically that you just remain calm and believe that you will get a chance to speak. And that's what I did this time. So I stayed very calm. I listened to what everyone had to say. I put forward my point wherever I found the gap. And I believe I was able to find the gap because I was able to stay calm. Right. So my focus was to participate well rather than trying to influence people to get into my idea or trying to, take my story forward. Right. So I was working with the group. Then finally, we had to decide who nominated the story, and that was all done. Once that was done, they announced the result. They called out my chess number. Once that was done, we had the usual documentation process, and then we had the psych test the same day. Psych was also this time again a very what do I say? I did not think too much about anything. I
Sanskriti, sorry to interrupt.
Mhm.
We are keen to know the story that you wrote.
Okay, so the story I wrote was it was a very very the thing is he was sleeping in a very weird position. He was just sitting, but then his heart was aisa. So there was and background में there was nothing much. It just looked like a seating room with like few books, right? So the best story I could come up with at that point was just I wrote that he was taking a power nap between his office ka kaam because he was scheduled to take a meeting with some senior director or whatever. So I wrote something like he was the project head and he was preparing for this new kind of idea he was trying to put forward to his seniors, which uses the help of AI and all that. So I wrote a very what do I say? I wrote very specific points, as in I did not write a very generalized story. I wrote where exactly the AI will be used and all that. I was very specific with whatever actions I was writing. Right now, I don't exactly remember what I wrote, but this is what I just is what I wrote. So once that was done, in between he was a little sleepy, and because of all the hectic schedule, he was not able to catch up on his sleep because he was working round the clock. So he took a quick 15-minute power nap. Then he got rejuvenated, ran through his presentation notes once again, prepared for his presentation, ran a mental race of his presentation of how it's going to be, and then he presented the same, and his idea was accepted by his seniors. So that is what I wrote.
And you can carry on with this site test you were telling us.
Okay, so the psych test again, it was in the evening. So psych was good in the sense I did not think much about the story given to me or the picture given to me. Sorry, whatever was given in the picture, I wrote it. I wrote the story surrounding the picture. I did not think much as okay, this should be a good theme, or no, this isn't a good theme. I shouldn't go with this. I shouldn't go. Nothing. The first thought which came to my mind, I just wrote that. I wrote properly with proper actions where again what I did different this time was I was very specific with the actions I was writing. Instead of just saying that okay, he's a content editor, so I would say he's a content editor at this company, this was his job profile, right? So I was very specific with whatever I was writing. Like that I was able to finish all the 12 stories in time, full stories. I did not leave anything behind. I was able to, for some stories I was even able to finish within. I had some 30 seconds to 40 seconds to actually wait until the next picture was flashed on the screen, right? So again, very simple stories, nothing very exceptional and award winning or anything. Very simple stories, kind of relatable to my kind of experiences. There were certain stories which happen. So stories like talking, there was a story, one story where a son was talking to the mother. So stories like pictures like this, I took examples from my own life and my own experiences to write the story. So basically, I put myself in the character's position and then I started writing the story. So that also helped me a lot because I was able to write very, what do I say? I was able to write very good stories in that sense, right? This was something which had not happened in my previous attempts because I did not have this kind of clarity of thought, right? So once 12 stories were done, we moved on to W80. W80 again, similar. The first thought which came to my mind, I wrote. I didn't think about what the assessor is going to think or whether my sentence is going to be great, nothing. I just wrote whatever was given, flashed on the screen. And again, I was able to complete everything. Then we had my SRT. In SRT, I was, I think, able to attempt 54 or 55. Right. Again, I was able to, I wrote very short ones. I did not elaborate much, but whatever I wrote it correctly. Very crisp and concise SRTs I wrote. And then I had SDT. SDT was something, this time I did not prepare beforehand because I did not get the time because I'm also working. So I did not get the time. But in the SDT, before I started writing, whatever you have, your parents' opinion, your employees' opinion, and self opinion. Before I started to write, I just had the keywords in mind as to what kind of words I will use. Right. So I first mentally decided what I'm going to write and then I penned it down, right? So that's what I did in my SDT, and I was very, very honest with myself. Also, the psych was very, very specific about right weakness, right weakness, right weakness. So I did not shy away from writing any kind of, that I will not write weakness. I wrote a couple of weaknesses for every, for parents' opinion or for employees' opinion. I genuinely wrote what weakness it was and what I'm trying to improve it doing to improve it, right? So I was very honest this time in that sense, right? I was not trying to impress the psych or any interviewing officer or nothing. Yes, I was writing whatever first came to my mind. So that was with psych. Interview, I don't remember exactly which date happened. But interview was again lasted for around 45 to 50 minutes. Again, same mindset, did not think much. I just answered the questions whichever was posed to me, right? Most of it was based on the PIQ form, right? Mostly personal life based questions. Again, it was a very smooth interview in the sense I did not, like we say na grill karte interviewing officer, वैसा कुछ था नहीं. He was very direct. He accepted whatever answer I was saying. He did not probe me much. The only place he probed me was my weakness. He kept coming back to it in like different ways. First he asked me what I think my weakness is. Then, idhar udhar ka sawal पूछ के he would come back father thing. What is a father thing you should improve? Then again, he would ask me a few other questions and then come back. Okay, what do your friends think you have to improve? Right. So he kept coming back to this weakness part 4 or 5 times. Right. But again, I was very honest with whatever I was answering. I did not shy away. I was very straightforward. Right. And then GK, yes, there were I think 3 or 4 GK questions, right? I was able to answer a couple of them. Again, a couple of them I made an estimated guess because he kind of forced me to make an estimated guess, which I was able to, but it was fine. I mean, I told him, there was times when I told him, okay, sir, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I will read about it, right? So that was also fine. Apart from that, interview was very, very smooth. I did not find any kind of difficulty or this one, right? I was just very straightforward. I just answered whatever was asked to me. Then comes GTO. GTO was the thing where I had most fun this time because I honestly did not think much about, okay, I have to handle the group. I have to do what kind of group. Nothing I thought. I was like, okay, I have to work with the group. I need to do the task. Well, the task needs to get completed, right? So again, GD was based, first you have GD, right? So GD was again based on current affair topics. Again, something related to Israel, Hamas, very current affairs related topic, which I was able to do well. I was able to find proper gaps while speaking. And whatever I spoke, no one interrupted me. Everyone fell silent. No one interrupted me. I very clearly, concisely put forward my point. Okay, I got full 35 seconds to explain what I wanted to say, right? So in that sense, it was good. GD was good. GPE also same way. As a group, we worked well, I would say. We were able to come to a conclusion. We listened to everybody. We were able to do everything. Then GP, then we had PGT and HGT. PGT again was very smooth. Everyone's ideas were implemented, I would say, because we were trying and implementing everyone's ideas. No one tried to dominate as such, right? So it was good. The team went forward. I was able to pitch in wherever I was supposed to pitch in. I was able to pitch in. Sometimes the group accepted my idea, sometimes they didn't, or they improvised it, which was fine, right? Point was to get to the final obstacle, across all the 4 obstacles, which we did well within time. In HGT, yes, HGT was a little challenging because again, in every group there is this one person who's dominating and will not listen to anyone, right? So in that sense, yes, HGT was a little challenging because that person came into my group. But again, I think it was important that the other three of us handled it quite well, right? We were somehow able to convince her, or whatever it is, we were able to get the group forward. I think that is what matters. We tried to calm her down, or we just tried to, okay, let's try this, right? We provided options, and somehow as a group we were able to do it. Of course, there was chaos which could have been eliminated. I would not say no, but again, in a group, the onus does not lie on one person, right? So what I would say is we worked as a group together. It could have been better, but we did well. We did well, and I was also able to pitch in wherever possible. I did not hold the group back or anything. Then comes then was, I think, GTO day 2, right? It started with command task. Oh, sorry, we had lecture it on the same day. We had lecture it also on GTO day 1. Lecture it again was a very smooth sailing again. I spoke on public transport. Well, all the topics were very social topics. So I just chose public transport. And since I'm from Mumbai, I use public transport a lot. So there were a lot of personal experience that I also added in my lecturate. I spoke about the benefits, the pros and cons, and how it benefits all, or what could be the cons, right? So lecturate again was able to finish well within time. I took, I think, exactly around 250 to 3 minutes. Almost I finished it. And very smooth sailing. I did not get stuck anywhere. Again, I had mentally prepared as to how I will present it, and it came in the same way. Then GTO day 2, we had command task. Command task was a very pleasant surprise to me, because it was very easy, like very easy. I have never had an easier command task in my 6 conferences I've experienced before. It was very easy. It was no brainer. I was called second. It was no brainer. It was just very direct bridging idea. And I finished it in like 1 minute, 2 minutes. That's all. There was nothing to do, right? He did not increase difficulty. He did not do anything. He just, okay, okay, this is your idea. Okay, granted. Then he told me to leave. Right. Again, the small talk with the GTO was again related to, okay, what are you working? Why do you want to join? And all that. Right. So that was again very smooth. Command task, like I said, was a pleasant surprise. But yes, it went well. Finished it very quickly. Then we had IO. I finished 6 obstacles in time. That was also fine. And last we had FGT. Again, FGT also, we were, as a group, we were able to complete. And towards the end, I kind of led the group to finish, because so for some reason people started listening to me, right? So they just like, okay, let's do what Sanskriti says. Okay, let's go ahead. So as a group, we were able to finish again well within time. It was good. So yeah, then last day was conference. Conference, my discussion time, they took around 10 minutes before they called me in, right? And then once he called me in, the president asked me the same question what my IO had asked in the interview, as in what weakness what do you think your friends say about, what should you improve in yourself? So I again gave him the same answer, whatever I had given the IO. And then that's all. Then they announced the result and I got recommended.
Ma'am, you told us about the PPDT story, and then you told us about your point of view related to psych test. What were you feeling during the psych test? Ma'am, there are a number of students who practice a lot for the psych test, for the TAT, WAT, and SRT and ST. What is your point of view about the practice of the psych test before going to SSB? Is it necessary?
See, I personally don't think it is necessary unless you are a person who's trying to understand how SSB works. Okay. So if you're a fresher and you don't know anything about how Psych or what is PPDT or what is that, then okay, it makes sense that you practice your story, you understand how a story is written, you understand the purpose of the test, and then you do it. You practice. And then once you get a good control over your writing speed, because a lot of people have problem with writing speed also, right? So yes, then fine. But for a repeater, I feel it does not make sense. Because again, what happens with practicing story, and this happened with me, because in my earlier attempts, like, my second, third, fourth, fifth, at that time, I used to practice stories. So because of that, I used to end up having preconceived notions about, okay, ये picture ऐसा situation दिखाया तो मुझे ऐसा ही लिखना है. So it kind of restricts your thought process, right? And because it restricts your thought process, you again start gaining pressure. You start thinking, अच्छा ये story अच्छा नहीं रहेगा, मुझे कोई और theme के बारे में सोचना है. And then in that only you waste your time, and then you're not able to complete the story, right? Then your story quality also becomes really bad. So I would, for a repeater, I would say it does not make sense, right? Because you know what the process is, you know how your story is to be written, you know what is expected of you. What is, rather than practicing the story, what I would suggest is listen to the instructions very, very carefully, because the instructions themselves are self-explanatory, right? Even especially for a repeater, because as a repeater, yes, there have been a lot of times where I've been like, अच्छा ठीक है, वही तो rules बता रहे हैं, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Yes, I have been there and I agree, I regret that. But it is very important, even as a repeater, that you listen to the instructions carefully, because it is very self-explanatory, and you will have an idea as to how to go about and what they expect, right? You, when they say feelings and emotions in your story, you have to write. You cannot just fill your stories with actions and then end up like, theek hai, why did I not get recommended, right? Because I have been through the same error, and what I have learned through this process is that follow the instructions, listen to whatever it is about. If you do as they expect you to do, you will do it, right? So I feel it is not necessary to practice.
Coming to the GTO task, ma'am, you told that when you were speaking in the GD, the others were listening to you. We would like to know how NFA activities have improved your personality when it comes to be assertive and to be more confident. And also, when did you join NFA, and how much times did you participate in the group activities?
Okay, so I would really, really like to thank NFA so much, because I believe that I would have not gotten this kind of confidence for group activities if not for NFA and participating in those activities. That I used to be regularly participating in the 9:30 session. It was conducted by Kaiser. Kaiser was the group coordinator, and Anjum sir and all were there. So I used to regularly participate in those sessions. Initially, I had a little trouble with trying to express my opinion or my thoughts while participating, but I think with practice, I started gaining that confidence. I joined NFA back in April 2023, right? Initially, I was not very regular. After that, I started getting a little regular, and once I got a hang of, okay, I'm confident about what I wanted to do, I stopped attending. I stopped actually before this attempt. This attempt, for some reason, I did not prepare much for this attempt. Honestly speaking, very honestly, I did not prepare much. The only preparation I made was to prepare my current affairs like I usually do. Because again, I was working. I have a job. I work. I have a full-time job. And so it becomes very difficult for me to take time to work. Sorry, take time to join sessions. So, but last year completely, I was active whenever I was participating. I was almost active for 7 to 8 months. I used to participate regularly, especially the group activities I used to participate, and that really, really helped me. And especially the feedback session is something which I always look forward to, because see, sometimes your peers are able to notice something which you are not able to, right? You may be thinking, okay, I may have done well, or I may have done really bad. It could be either way, but when your peers evaluate you, when peers who have gone through the same process, who have had different experiences and learnings, are able to give you feedback about how you have done, right? So that kind of helps you shape and grow as a person also, right? So that is what helped me. The feedback sessions really, really helped me, because it helped me evaluate myself. And mostly the feedback I got was, uh, try not to be very dominating. That was the feedback I had got, because a lot of people, I have a very harsh voice sometimes, and when I give it, when I do that in GD, it gets a little dominating, right? So I learned how to tune my voice, how to be a little more polite while I'm trying to speak, how to be more confident and concise while I'm trying to speak, right? So these were some of the feedbacks I got. And towards the end of the session, I think my peers were quite happy with my performance, that they were like, okay, Sanskriti, you're doing great, just continue with this, right? So from getting a lot of feedbacks to getting nothing, I think that was a growth in itself. And even though I stopped getting feedbacks, as in like critical feedbacks, I still joined the sessions to just polish and everything, right? And so much so that when I stopped the sessions, that confidence kind of remained with me, and I was able to get recommended even without any practice for 2 3 months, right? So I think 7 8 months of consistency really, really helped.
Ma'am, coming to the PGT command task SGT, how did you prepare for these tasks? Like, was there any particular strategy that was being followed by you?
No, nothing. See, the thing is, like I said, this was my seventh conference, right? So I had an idea as to how the structures, or what is expected to make of the structure till now, right? Whatever I learned was by trial and error. ठीक है कि ये आइडिया करेगा नहीं करेगा ठीक है. But this time, what I did was I knew what was expected of me, what kind of ideas can be implemented, cannot be implemented. But I went with a very clear and fresh mind. In the sense, okay, the task is given. Because see, there is no point overthinking about, okay, what kind of idea can I implement without seeing the structure, right? And every SSB board has a different structure. So how much ever you prepare, it is not going to help you that much. Okay, the idea will be there in your head, but the structure specific idea is very difficult to implement until you actually see the structure on that day of GTO. So for me, in my head, it was like, okay, see, I'm not working alone. I'm working with a group. It's not like only I'm going to be giving ideas. So many people are going to be giving ideas, right? So my point was, okay, look at the structure properly, look at it from every angle, see if you can make a bridge. If you're not getting idea, accept someone else's idea, move forward, right? The only key that I kept in mind is it's always important to move forward in the obstacle and not hold your team back in any way or not tell, ठीक है, मेरा idea सही है, मेरा ही लगाओ, मेरा ही लगाओ. See, that doesn't work. You working in a group, it is important that as a group you're able to go ahead. So that was the kind of mindset I had, right? So I was very flexible with whatever I was trying to do, right? If I was not getting, there were times when I was not getting any idea, but then okay, take someone else's idea, move forward. So yes, that is a strategy I implemented.
Ma'am, when it comes to the group activities, we are regularly conducting the NFA sessions. There are some new participants who find it difficult to find a right gap in the group discussions, be it the group discussion of PPDT or GD or GPE. Ma'am, what would be your suggestion to them how to find a right gap and what is actually a right gap is?
Again, right gap differs from group to group. Okay. So I would suggest is that don't rely too much on what kind of group. See, at least for me, through this experience, what I've learned is that I always felt that अच्छा मुझे gap नहीं मिल रहा because group खराब है, right? That is not how it should be, right? See, you are going into the forge. You should be able to work in any kind of group they put you, right? You're going to be leading your troop. You will get all sorts of people. You will get all types of groups of people which you will have to lead, but you will still have to do it, right? It's still your group. You still have to take them forward. So it is very important to cultivate that mindset that okay, you're a part of the group rather than seeing them as competition. Changing that mindset itself helps a lot. And this is something I've learned from my experience, right? Second thing I would say is that it's very, very, very important to stay calm and to believe that you will get a gap. Don't go in with a negative mindset कि अरे यार gap मिलेगा कि नहीं ये वो. That doesn't work. It is very important to believe in the confidence you have. You should have a lot of self confidence that okay, I will find the gap, I will do it, I will speak, right? So that is very important. Third is a personal suggestion which I will give. Usually I mentally run the group discussion before actually participating in them. For example, before any SSB, right? Especially this is especially only for the screening process I'm talking about because the competition is a lot and your screening ratio is less, right? So especially for the PPDT, what I usually do is 2-3 days before, I mentally picture myself in the SSB, narrating my story, participating in the group discussion. So I mentally run the entire process and I see myself getting screened. Right. So this is something which has really, really helped me, like mentally running the process before you actually go into it. So when you're mentally running the process, it kind of instills that self-confidence because you know, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. Right. So like that, you will definitely be able to find the gap.
Uh, Later on, ma'am, you might have received sir's book, The Practical Guide to Become an Officer. How did that book help you during this journey of recommendation? And
So
how your first interaction with Colonel Nehru?
the book, I think the chapter which I related to the most was overthinking and stress management. Not that I take stress, I don't take stress. Yes, I used to overthink a lot. That is very true, and that affected my performance. Like I said, I used to think so much before writing a story, so much before my GTO for nothing, right? The thing which caught my which caught my attention and the fact which kind of changed my perspective, it took me a lot of time to get that change in me, but it definitely did happen, is that is to focus on the factor that you have control over, right? It's very, very important to focus on the factor only you have control over and not to think about the factors which may or may not happen, which is out. So basically focus on your direct control actions, right? That, for example, like in your PPDT, the thing which you have control over is writing a good story and is to narrating really well, right? GD में जो होगा देखा जाएगा, but what you have in your hand, it is very important that you execute it as perfectly as possible. right? And to not focus on external factors a lot. Do your job really well, and then the result will follow as it is. So that is what helped me.
Okay. Ma'am, in your perspective, what is your definition of being assertive? We have seen a number of participants during the group activities that they over participate just for the sake of participation, or they dominate the group. Ma'am, how does domination differs from assertiveness? What is your point of view?
So, see, domination, in my opinion, is basically what do I say? Forcing someone to accept your idea and not being open or flexible or tolerant towards other people's ideas. Whereas being assertive is more like, okay, my idea is implementable, and you support why your idea is implementable. Okay, like I want to do this ABC because of this reason, this seems more convenient, we can do it. So you try to convince the group or influence the group rather than saying the group nahi, rather than saying no, no, let the group only do this. No, you're not giving them a choice. Then you're being assertive, you are being very confident, you're putting forward your opinion, you have confidence in whatever you're saying, but at the same time, you are giving them the decision to accept your opinion or not, right? And if you're able to convince them or influence them really well, yes, they will accept you. And the way you can convince and influence them is by being very logical and being very practical, very simple. When you offer them a practical idea, obviously your group has nothing but to accept your idea, right? But if you're going to be dominating, you will tend to force others to accept the idea, which is wrong.
Ma'am, I think this is a very good answer to the question, because new participants are they are getting confused between being dominant and being assertive. So I think this will clear their doubt.
Mhm.
Later on, ma'am, what was your routine and how was your interaction with sir?
Routine as in my daily life routine.
Yeah, your daily life routine, as you are a working woman. So what was your routine that you followed daily?
So my routine was actually pretty monotonous and boring. I used to just get up, go to work. I work from 7 to 3:30. So I used to get up, go to work, and I come back, I hit the gym, and then I help with household chores. And then if I have time and energy, I read. I love to read, so I read a lot of crime fiction. So I usually read and then I sleep. So this is for almost 3 days a week. That is the days I go to work. Otherwise, the days I work from home, usually I finish off my work, and if exams are around the corner like AFCAT, CDS, I study for them. Or I usually read or I solve the Sudoku. I do something to keep myself occupied all the time. Evenings are for gym or for walk or any kind of physical activity. Right? Weekends I usually hang out with friends, and usual social life is on weekends. My interaction with sir was very it was fun. I had a fun conversation. I had fun talking to him. And the only thing he told me is that you have to stop taking pressure to get recommended. That was the only thing he told me. And after that, whenever I spoke to him, his only thing was, आपका तो हो जाना चाहिए. आपका तो बहुत पहले हो जाना चाहिए था. So that was the only comment he always kept telling me. And I knew that the only factor that was holding me back was the fact that I used to overthink unnecessarily and take that pressure to get recommended. Right? It took me a long time to overcome that pressure. But once I overcame it, I knew that, yes, okay, I'm going to make it. So that was his only comment for me.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for answering all the things. Now, I just, sir, this is over to you now. The platform is yours.
Thanks, Ritu, for having a very good conversation with Sanskriti. And as she has said, that the only thing I was telling her was that you should have been selected long back. I mean, the only thing which is preventing your selection is the pressure probably which you are taking. And the performance aspects which get associated, then you're trying to give pleasing replies in psychology tests to interviewing officers. You're trying to think, what impact my answer will have on him. I mean, things like that on your peers. No such like things. So that is a fact. So for me also, listening to Sanskriti's conversation with you, it's very educative. Because with all, I'm convinced that you are fit for selection. I mean, you're just somehow not getting selected. And same was the case with Sanskrit. That's why I put both of you together to have this talk. So, Sanskriti, now you answer my questions, which was always there, which was there with me for the benefit of others also. When, I'm an experienced assessor, it's a taken. I mean, I work in the selection system, so experience to ho gaya. So, thing is that when I am saying the first day when we talk that you are fit for selection and you're not getting selected, in a considerable period, even after that, you and I have been interrupting. तो क्या आपने किया जिससे सिलेक्शन अप हो पाया?
I think I just developed the I don't care attitude. Very bluntly saying that was the only thing. It took me a long time to get over it because, again, so many years of being conditioned to, okay, think twice before doing this and doing that. Okay, सामने वाला क्या सोचेगा, ये वो, सामने वाला कैसा feel करेगा, and all that. So the only thing it took me a long time is to like just develop an I don't care attitude, have trust in your abilities and your preparation and your confidence, right? And that is what helped me this time a lot.
तो आपने रिसर्च नहीं किया कि व्हाई डू यू वांट टू जॉइन द आर्मी करके ना गूगल में निकालो क्या क्या बढ़िया रीजंस है ना देशभक्ति एंड ऑल दैट.
Nothing, sir, nothing. I told him whatever my reason was, I told him very frankly, I did not care as to whether he's going to accept my reason or not. Because, well, see, that is who I am, right? The reason I want to join or whatever kind of person I'm trying to portray, that is who I am. Yes, I have worked on my weakness. I have done all that, but essentially, as a person, I know I am a good person. That's what mattered to me at the end of the day.
अब संस्कृति आपको मेरी बात समझने में इतना टाइम लग गया तो आप ये लोगों को बताओ कि मेरी बात जल्दी क्यों नहीं समझ लेते.
No, sir, I understand. It is, yes, it is very important to, very bluntly again saying, develop the I don't care attitude. In the sense, not in a negative way, but in the sense to not please anyone or do something because someone is going to get happy or someone is going to accept you. Do it because you want to do it and do it because you see yourself wearing the uniform.
And why people are, having this mindset because you have gone through it. I never had this mindset, I mean, we are all made differently. And I was selected in my first attempt, so my pressure तो रहा ही नहीं मेरे ऊपर कोई. So, thing is that ये क्यों होता है और क्यों जरूरी है इसको निकालना. चलो जरूरी तो है निकालना, वो तो आपने समझा दिया. बट ऐसा क्यों होता है? How is it having a negative impact? ये थोड़ा समझाओ यार. It will help the kids.
So what I feel, I feel it is just that a
Yeah.
lot of peer pressure, right? You see other people making it, and then you're like, "अच्छा मेरा नहीं हो रहा है," and all that. You start comparing yourself. That is, I think, a very very self-sabotaging way to do it, right? You see other people getting recommended, other people going to the academy, and then you feel small about yourself. So that, in a way, kind of creates pressure as to, ठीक है, क्यों नहीं हो रहा? So that is one thing. Second thing is, I think increased use of social media has kind of driven this process even more because the more you use social media, the more you see people, ठीक अच्छा ये लोग ये कर रहे हैं वो कर रहे हैं, and you get influenced by it. Rather than using social media for the purpose it is to stay connected with friends and to use it for whatever knowledge purpose, most people, at least whatever I've met, end up scrolling reels for hours together, and then they are like, that kind of conditions them. Acha, log, no, everyone's life is happening, mera kuch nahi ho raha. Then that mindset kind of puts a pressure on you. Acha, okay, what do I do? What am I doing with life? Ye, wo. So what I would say is social media thoda kam karo. That is one idea. This one, I mean, use it for the purpose it is supposed to be, for educational purpose, for this one, but not so much to the extent that it influences you and creates pressure on you, right? So, and not to get affected by other people's progress or by achievements. Everyone, I believe, has a different progress chart in their life. Everyone's fate is made in a certain way, right? It is very important to just focus on yourself and your growth and see how far you have come. It is very important to see that You're not the same person what you were 1 year ago or 2 years ago. That is the only growth that matters. Not the fact that, acha, I'm not as equal to him. Setting others as benchmark for yourself. That is not right, in my opinion. What have you done to improve yourself? Okay, you've picked up a new hobby. That's great. Even the small achievements, it is good. You pick up a new hobby, you learn a new skill. You are being very consistent with whatever you're doing, right? You gain a lot of confidence in that way also. So those are some of the things that has helped me overcome this mindset. So yeah.
Sanskriti, did you read my book deliberately?
I didn't read page to page, but yes, I went through the contents and what, like I said, when mattered, related to be the most, and which changes that stress and over management, overthinking wala. Because the other things whatever I read, I felt okay. This is what I'm doing. I'm being consistent. I've been into sports for 12 years. I've professionally swum for 12 years, so fitness was not a problem for me. Again, I knew the entire process well. The only thing which I felt I wanted to really learn from was the stress and over management, which was, sorry, stress management and overthinking. So that book, that chapter I have read so many times that it took time. I'm not disagreeing that it didn't take time for me to actually have an effect on me, but yes, that chapter though I have definitely read.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Very fine. Thanks a lot, Sanskriti, for sharing your views, your experiences. I mean, in my view, you were always fit for selection. And now that I have listened to you, I have realized I have got my answer. You are pretty rigid with your personality. You have taken a long time for what I was trying to tell you from the
Yeah.
first day to those things to really sink in. Fine. So that's the advice I would give to others. कि यार जो मैं बोलता हूँ मेरे बाल सफेद हो गए मैं सोच समझ के बता रहा हूँ उसको सुन लिया करो. So that is going to help you in your own interest. Fine. So I have nothing more to ask, and only to thanks you for joining No Frills Academy, and through you making me learn a lot. And I wish you all the very best. You may not be joining the defense services for the reason that you already discussed with me. Fine, that's okay. As you go along in life, you'll realize it's not a big deal. But making progress in a systematic manner and achieving goals which one has set for oneself is a real part of growth in life. And there you are on the right trajectory. Rigidity ho, jo bhi ho, but you are progressing. And it's been a pleasure knowing you. And it will be a pleasure remaining connected with you.
Yes, thank you so much. Likewise, also I've learned a lot. Yes, I am slow, but it has but it is fine. I
स्लो नहीं
mean,
है स्लो नहीं है थोड़ा रिजिड है.
yeah, I know. I am a very stubborn person. Yes, I have learned this.
हाँ वहां पर
I
चक्कर है वहां
I
पर
tend to
चक्कर है.
be stubborn. That is very, very true. It is
Yeah,
like मार खा
that
के
has been
सीखूंगी
the
मैं.
issue. That is the answer that I have got today, which I did not get in all our
No,
conversations
I
in
think I saw a
23.
lot of success very early in my life because I was swimming for 12 years. So I never saw failures in the initial part of my life. So seeing failures was like, अच्छा ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है मेरे साथ? So I think that stubbornness, it took a little time for it to go. But again, it's all in the mind, I would say. That's why it's just about mindset, nothing else.
First class, first class. So you are open to questions from others. And now I have one question from Ritu also. Ritu, can you make yourself visible, beta?
Yes, sir.
हाँ. अभी जो आपकी बातचीत हुई संस्कृति से आपने क्या रियलाइज किया ये क्या है बिकॉज इन माय व्यू यू आर ऑन द राइट ट्रैक यू वर रिकमेंडेड इन योर फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट एंड देन समहाउ थिंग्स हैव नॉट बीन वर्किंग आउट तो क्या आपने सीखा.
Sir, somewhere I can relate to her in certain things. For example, I got the recommendation in first attempt. Later on, I had two consecutive screen outs, then conference out, then screen out. So having the recommendation in first attempt somewhere made me selfish, kind of selfish. and I wanted it again. And there was a kind of pressure as well. So as she said, ki you need to manage the overthinking, pressure, and all the things. So I also feel that I need to manage all those things: overthinking, stress, and then the pressure of getting recommended. As ma'am said, build a I don't care attitude. I think that is also needed in my area. So I need to work on these things, managing the things, reducing the overthinking, and building the I don't care attitude.
देखो, मैं कुछ बात बताता हूँ आपको दोनों के लिए। देखो, चाहे आप विराट कोहली हो, चाहे आप जोकोविच हो, आपकी रेपुटेशन आपको जरा भी मदद करने नहीं आ सकती। रेपुटेशन के चक्कर में आप पड़ गए तो आपका नुकसान हो सकता है। खेलने आपको बॉल बाय बॉल ही है, और जिंदगी भी ऐसे ही है। अगर आपने प्रेशर लिया अपनी रेपुटेशन का, उससे कुछ भला नहीं होने वाला। विराट कोहली भी पहली बॉल पे बोल्ड हो सकता है, और जोकोविच भी फर्स्ट राउंड में हार सकता है, पर वो दोनों ही इस जगह इसलिए हैं क्योंकि वो ओपोनेंट को रेस्पेक्ट भी करते हैं, और वो ये जानते हैं कि वो आउट हो सकते हैं और हार सकते हैं, लेकिन वो अपना बेस्ट देते हैं प्रेशर निकाल के। अब अगर प्रेशर रहेगा तो आपको फुटबॉल कहां चलेगा? तो उसको निकालना है, और रेपुटेशन गई भाड़ में। प्ले बॉल बाय बॉल, दैट इज हाउ लाइफ इज, बिकॉज ईच डे इज न्यू, रितु। And I mean, it's the same for you and same for me also. Every student is new, every situation is different. अगर मैं ये कहने लगूं मेरे इतनी रेपुटेशन है, इतने रेकमेंड हो गए, ये वो, that's not going to help me. That is just a track record of history. That's all. I have to perform each day, and that adds on to the reputation. That's all. And that is what all of us have to do. When we get into this pressure, ये वो, उससे कोई फायदा नहीं होता है। ठीक है ना? Please do that. You are both very progressive, very competent girls. You will have very bright futures, irrespective of whether I came in contact with you or not. So I learned a lot from you. तो तुम भी थोड़ा थोड़ा सीख लो मेरे से। ठीक है, चलो बच्चों, nice having a talk with you. Nice, very nice listening to two of you talking. I was totally all ears. You are open to questions from others. Bachcho, please go and ask your questions.